So, you own an outboard. You know that keeping it maintained is just part of the deal. But let me tell you, there's a world of difference between an engine that purrs reliably season after season and one that's just a constant source of frustration. And that difference? It usually comes down to just a few tiny critical details. Today, we are going to walk through the 100-hour service, sharing some lessons learned the hard way so you can avoid the simple but incredibly expensive mistakes so many of us make. And this quote, this is exactly why we're talking about this today. It just says it all, doesn't it? A simple everyday job, a $5 part, and one tiny mistake. Just going by feel instead of following the manual turned into a repair bill that's nearly $1,000. It just goes to show you how high the stakes can be, even on what seems like the easiest task. So, that really is the million-dollar question, right? How do you dodge these bullets? Well, we're going to tap into the wisdom from someone who's spent over 15 years maintaining their own outboards. We'll cover the exact steps you need to take to keep that engine humming and keep your hard-earned cash where it belongs, in your wallet. All right, before we even think about picking up a wrench, we need to talk about the absolute foundation of outboard care. And I want to be clear, this isn't just a friendly suggestion. This is the non-negotiable cornerstone for the long-term health of your engine. Look, Yamaha is not messing around here. The 100-hour service is a mandatory checkup. You can think of it like an annual physical for your engine. And skipping it? Well, that's not just a bad idea. It will literally void your warranty. And worse, it directly leads to stuff wearing out way, way sooner than it should. And hey, if the idea of voiding your warranty doesn't quite get your attention, maybe this number will. $3,000. That's what neglect can look like. We're not talking about small fixes here. We're talking about catastrophic failures. All of a sudden, spending a Saturday doing some maintenance starts to sound like a pretty fantastic investment, doesn't it? Okay, so we're all on the same page. This service is absolutely vital. But where do things tend to go sideways for the do-it-yourselfer? Well, we're going to zero in on the four most critical areas where a tiny little oversight can spiral into a massive, expensive headache. First things first, let's start with the absolute basics, the oil change. This stuff is the lifeblood of your four-stroke engine. Getting this right isn't just important, it's everything. Now, everybody thinks they know how to change oil, right? But oh man, the devil is in these details. Step 2, always use a new crush washer. It's like a $2 part that prevents a slow, annoying leak. Step 4, though, this is the real money saver. Tighten that filter 3/4 of a turn after the gasket touches down. That's it. Trying to crank it down by feel is exactly what leads to stripped threads and a painful $450 repair. Trust the procedure, not your muscles. Okay, moving on down from the engine itself to the lower unit. That's Talk Gear Lube. This thick, smelly oil is literally the only armor protecting those incredibly precise and incredibly expensive gears from grinding themselves into a pile of metal dust. The process itself is pretty simple. You drain from the bottom screw, and then you pump the new stuff in from that same bottom hole until it starts coming out the top. That way, you know there are no air bubbles trapped inside. But the single most important step here has nothing to do with filling it up. It's about what you see coming out. If that old oil looks milky, like coffee with too much cream, you stop everything. That's your big red flag for water getting past your seals. Catching this simple visual clue saved our guy from an $1,800 rebuild. It's your early warning system for a $2,000 disaster. All right, let's talk about the spark of life, the spark plugs. Now, this seems like it should be the easiest job on the whole list, but like we saw right at the beginning, this is one area where being precise is absolutely everything. This is where you just can't afford to be sloppy. You've got to use the exact plug the manufacturer calls for, you have to gap it perfectly, and here's the big one, you have to use a calibrated torque wrench. Tighten it to exactly 18 foot-pounds. No guessing, no, that feels about right. That level of precision is what separates a perfectly running engine from that $900 repair we mentioned earlier, which was caused by cracking the plug's insulator from just a little too much force. And for our fourth and final critical point, we have the water pump. Now listen, this isn't just about keeping your engine healthy, this is a core safety item. Because when this thing fails, your day is over, instantly. And this story just drives the point home perfectly. We're not talking about an inconvenient trip to the repair shop anymore. We're talking about being dead in the water, miles from anyone. After getting stranded 20 miles out at sea, this boater made a simple new rule. Replace that little rubber impeller every 200 hours, period. even if it looks fine. It's incredibly cheap insurance against a situation that could get very dangerous very fast. So after hearing about all these high-stakes details, it's totally natural to ask yourself, should I really be doing this myself? Let's break down that big decision that every single boat owner has to make. Honestly, there are really good arguments for both sides. Doing it yourself can save you hundreds of dollars per service, and you get to know your engine inside and out. But that risk of making a costly mistake, it's real. On the other hand, a dealer gives you total peace of mind. They have all the special tools, and your warranty stays intact. But you pay for it. The author here landed on a pretty smart hybrid approach. He does all the basic 100-hour stuff himself, but for the more complex 300-hour services, he takes it to the pros. It's a great balance of saving money while still getting expert help when it really counts. Okay, so we've covered how to dodge disaster during the big service. Now let's switch gears and talk about how you can push your engine into that next level of long-term, bulletproof reliability. And it all boils down to a few simple habits. This right here is the real secret sauce. None of these things are hard, but doing them consistently has a massive impact. Flushing after every saltwater trip is just non-negotiable. Fuel stabilizer prevents all sorts of gunk-related problems. But that last one, that final visual inspection, that's huge. That's how our guy once found a loose engine mounting bolt that could have led to a catastrophic transom failure. These little checks are what build a truly reliable engine. And here's the proof in the pudding. This isn't just theory. This is the real-world result of all that disciplined maintenance. Over 1,800 hours on a single Yamaha F-150. That number is a testament to the fact that this process plain works. It buys you years and years of trouble-free time out on the water, which is the whole point, right? So we'll just leave you with this one question to think about. When you really add up the potential repair costs, the risks of getting stranded, and then you weigh that against the reward of an engine you can always count on, it really boils down to this. Is investing that one single day, once a year, worth it? What you decide will pretty much determine how you spend your time, enjoying the water or sitting in a repair shop waiting room.